everybody, it's Teepa, and we're here for a courageous conversation. Or I could say, are you serious conversation? Or I could say, you did what conversation? But I'm going to actually turn this over to Rachel and Don Kent from Texas. And maybe that says it all. From Texas. Maybe that explains a lot. I'm from West Virginia, so I understand a little bit. Anyway, being from Texas, maybe where's your Stetson? Have you got a Stetson?
I do. I do.
You got cowboy boots?
I do.
Are they on your feet, or do you have running shoes on?
Yeah, I have my walking shoes on now.
You have your walking shoes on. Okay, well, I was just checking in because I was wanting to know what your apparel was. All right. So I think that explains a whole bunch. Have you got cigars back in that box behind you?
No, I do not smoke cigars.
Oh, I was just checking because, do you have the clippers? There's something wrong with this whole picture, but I'm trying to figure out what it is. You got Texas on the wall behind you.
I do. I do. And on the other wall over here, the Come and Take It flag, too.
There you go. All right, Rachel, I'm going to kick it over your direction because you and Dawn have had some conversations about this story. It started off, we were talking at conference or getting ready to talk at conference, and we found out about Dawn.
Well, I heard about it because Don and I have been friends, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing this great thing. I had this idea of what I want to do, and I want to climb the tallest mountain in Texas. Wouldn't it be really cool if a guy with Lewy body climbed the tallest mountain in Texas?" I said, "Wow, that would be pretty cool." Well, Don Kent went after it, and to be able to climb the top, he had some friends who were into training, and so he instigated a very, what sounded to me, rigorous training, which involved walking miles and miles and hiking and getting prepared pretty much all year, wasn't it, Don?
Actually, I started training specifically for the hike up Guadalupe Peak in May. It began then. Specifically for that, I had started working out and walking some, and lifting weights, and I shifted from a whole lot of weightlifting and a little walking to almost totally walking. I walked 6 days a week. I used in my neighborhood, which is a very hilly neighborhood out in the country called Country Place, and it's pretty good hikes and on the road there. And then for rainy or too hot days for the summer, I bought an industrial strength treadmill that had up to a 40-degree angle, so I could work out on a 40-degree angle to get accustomed to the 3,000-foot elevation change that is the hike up Guadalupe Peak. And then on Saturday, I would hike a trail somewhere in the neighborhood here or somewhere around Tyler. We have a Tyler State Park that has 5 different hiking trails. I hiked them all. And then I had one test hike. My oldest son, who was kind of the leader of the expedition, arranged for us to hike a mountain in the Shenandoahs, about 7,000 feet. So we did a test hike in July, and I continued on. I walked over 1,000 miles. I lost over 90 pounds and got in, I thought, fairly good shape, a whole lot better shape than I was. Certainly before I started that. But yeah, and then it's, of course, I'm from here in East Texas, and we don't have the mountains here in this part of the state. We took a 2-day drive to drive out to the middle of nowhere. It's 110 miles east of El Paso, just past where I-10 and I-20 split. And we stayed in Van Horn and about 60 miles from the park. There are no services in the park. Park has got no place to stay. They've got the visitor center, and to drive around the park, it takes an hour and a half. You can stay on the Oklahoma side and actually be a little closer, but it's still about the same drive because you have to drive around the whole park. They don't have a whole lot of roads in it. But we set out on the morning of November 5th and had hoped to start right at sunrise because it was going to be about a 10-hour day of light, and I knew it'd probably take longer than that. And we got a little late start. A couple of the people in the group were running late, and we had to determine that they were running late, and we'd go ahead and start. We got started, and
Wait, Don, I went and found a map because, I'm listening to you and I'm going, golly Moses, this place is in the middle of friggin' nowhere. And there's in Oklahoma, it's out by Oklahoma. So hang on, I'm going to show a map because I want people to sort of see, and I'm probably going to have to back it out some more because, okay, first of all, this is the peak over here.
that's Guadalupe Peak, yeah. Well, that looks like El Capitan, actually, but that's from the peak, but that's El Capitan, the second highest peak.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's what the trail looks like there. There's the peak of Guadalupe.
That's the peak, huh? Yeah.
That's the peak. That's the monument.
That's a lot of rocks. That's a lot of rocks.
It is a very rocky climb.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
That's the highest bridge in the state right there. You walk across that bridge.
Yeah, sure looks high. Sure enough does. Looks right high. Ooh, yeah. And it's a national park. Oh, look at that beautiful view. Uh-huh. Oh my. Oh, and how many snakes do they have here, Don?
They got them all. They got them all. They got all sorts of snakes. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go back. I'm gonna wait. I have to get rid of the pictures here. Let me get rid of the picture so I can show you the map. Wait, go back. How do I do that? I want to take away the pictures. Okay, hang on, Teepa. Collapse side panel. Okay, now I don't want to do this. I want the map. Okay, so I'm going to quit sharing for a second. Let you talk for a second while I get the map to work. Because see, this is me in the background. But so they had 10 hours of daylight, but you were pretty sure you weren't going to make it all the way in that 10 hours of daylight.
Yeah, they say it normally takes anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, and that's for young people that are.
And is that round trip, Don, or is that just up?
Yeah, that's round trip.
That's round trip. And given how hard it is going up, did y'all think it would be easier coming down?
Well, it generally is for most people, but I have Lewy body dementia, and one of the big features of my disease is my visual spatial disorientation. And that's where it is the most striking is when I'm walking or going down things, stairs and rocky. This was a hard rock path and trail and steps and switchbacks. And
did you wear a helmet?
I just wore a cap.
Didn't even have your Stetson on, eh?
Didn't have my Stetson on. No, it's generally windy up there, so you want something a little more secure than the cowboy. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure a ball cap would take care of your skull should you fall for it.
Well, if you fall 3,000 feet, it really doesn't matter what you got.
Okay, I will let you talk a minute. Well, I go look, get my map to show. I want to show this map. I'm like, he's in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing else there.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
There's a picture that Teepa showed, Dawn, that made me think of a story. You talked about the cliffs. Can you talk about some of the scarier parts of this adventure? Because it wasn't all fun and games.
No, the last mile is, as you're getting closer to the peak, becomes rougher and narrower, and it got to about 1.5 foot path, and I have a picture of me on one that shows a path that's pretty narrow, and that one was my son in front of me was able to turn around and take a picture, so that was pretty wide at that point, and it got worse than that where you could not walk straight. You had to walk shuffle side by side and you had to have grab places in the rocks to hold on to. And literally you had about a foot That was it. And right down is at least 1,000-foot drop. I mean, there are people that turn around that are afraid of heights, and we had 4 of them in front of us that got up there and just said, no, we can't do it. And because we're too afraid of the heights, and you don't meet anybody. The good news is you can see enough that, okay, some people are coming down. We have to wait at a spot that's wide enough where that can pass. And then they'll have to wait at a spot wide enough if we meet anybody. But luckily we didn't meet anybody on the scary part. So, and literally that last half mile or so is just dangerous. And,
so do you sign off on, I understand I could lose my life on this hike when you get on the property? I figured you might have to, because nobody's going to pay your insurance bill for this.
No, and they lose a few, and have lost a few, because it's very dangerous. It's
Oh
a
my
lot.
heavens! I was like, oh, I bet it's a vigorous hike, and I was like, yeah, no, this is dangerous. All right, so I pulled the map up. So this is Texas. Okay, here's San Antonio. Way over here is Dallas, Fort Worth. Here in the middle of freaking absolutely, look, there's nothing here, is Guadalupe Peak. And there's Lubbock, Texas over there. There's Fort Bliss way over here. I mean,
That's Carlsbad, New Mexico. That's right there above it. You're actually near the border. In fact, part of the park goes into New Mexico.
Good heavens. And okay, so when we move in, let me move in some. I have to move in some, then I'll have to smooth it over here. I mean, it's called Broke Off Mountains, which I think says a lot. Like they're broken off, and you just get stacks of rocks that you're supposed to walk about. And you're down here, like really and truly. I mean, that's it. You got this humongous range. And if everybody else with any I'm going to use the word common sense. I'm sure there's other words for it, but common sense is probably over here in this green area, camping and stuff. Is that true?
Yeah. There are a lot easier paths in the national park than Guadalupe Peak. The Peak hike is the toughest one.
How much water did you have? Oh, there's El Capitan. I see. How much water did you have to carry along for yourself?
They recommend 5 liters, and I had 5 liters, and I actually ran out going down. And at one stop, we had some people that were very kind and had an extra bottle of water, and they gave
Those
to
were
me.
the ones that got scared of the heights and turned around. Holy moly! All right, so I just needed to share that. So you made it to the top, clearly.
We made it to the top.
Clearly made it back down also.
Made it back down. It's harder on me getting back down, so it took me longer getting down than it did to get up. And the last 40 minutes or so were in the dark, except for our headlamps that we had. So, my friend and his son and daughter that went with him that started later, it took us about 2.5 hours round trip. It took them 15.5 hours round trip because he was not in good shape. And my oldest son they were out of water. They had one light and the battery was dimming on it and flickering on and off. My oldest son, who is a triathlete and could have walked up the thing backwards, and he loaded up a backpack in the dark, put a headlamp on, put some flashlights and batteries in, and food and water for them because they'd run out of food and water, and some clothes. They wore shorts and t-shirts up there. And of course, when the sun goes down, it gets really cold pretty quick. And my oldest son ran up the trail for two miles. They were still 2 miles out, and it took them over 2.5 hours to walk that 2 miles, a little bit less than 2 miles.
Wow.
We got in at 11:45 at night. They almost didn't get back home the same day they started.
Wow. Holy moly. So, okay. That was when did you did this in November?
November 5th.
How long did it take you to recover?
I thought I probably couldn't get out of bed the next day, but I was able to get out of bed and walk okay. But we did cancel our trip to Carlsbad because neither my wife or I wanted to walk down into the caverns, because you walk down, they give you a elevator ride back out, but neither of us cared to walk down anything. And so we canceled our trip to Carlsbad.
Now, your wife did this too?
Yes, my wife was in the
didn't
group.
say, how come you talked about the boys? You didn't say a thing about your wife.
Yes, my wife made it about a little over halfway, 2.7 miles, and she had a gentleman walking with him. If you see our peak picture, there's 4 of us, me, my 2 sons, and Louann Harms, who is actually a PAC certified instructor, and I think you know Louann. Louann's a counselor for me, and Louann has made it to the peak, and her fiance walked with my wife, and he was sure glad when she said, "Okay, I got to turn around," because he didn't think she'd make it that far.
It's like, I was hoping she'd quit sooner.
Yes, yes. He was hoping she'd quit before. He didn't think she'd make it a mile.
She lasted a lot longer. Had she done any training ahead of time like you had?
She had trained some with me, and she did particularly the weekend trips, and she had done the hike up the mountain in the Shenandoahs, and she knew starting out she probably wasn't going to make it, and she has asthma issues, and once she got into elevation, it really started affecting her. So
yeah, wow.
She obviously turned back when the elevation started affecting her breathing.
Wow. Well, now I'd go with you. Rachel, would you go with him?
Yeah, but I think I'd have to train pretty significantly. But talk about an accomplishment. And actually your friends that had the more miserable trip, but they made it as well. So, kudos to you and kudos to him and his group for trying it at all and coming up with this. And we knew going into it, whether you made it to the top or not, we were going to celebrate because it gave you something to work towards. And there were so many benefits. And then the icing on the cake was making it to the top and down all in one piece, and everybody survived. So
absolutely, that was the best part, because there were a few times there where that might not
close.
Wow. Boy, am I glad you raise kids that have like really strong wrong spirits and also endurance of steel, apparently, if you could run back up there after you came back down, carrying a whole bunch of stuff for somebody else. Wow. That's pretty impressive right there. So
he was a true hero of his day, I think. So,
man, I'm telling you. Oof. So what's next on the agenda, Don?
Teepa, I got home and promptly broke my foot at an accident in my home, and so I had been in a boot cast for a month, and I just took it off and it started walking again, and I've decided I'm not going to climb a mountain again. No more mountain climbing.
I'm going to tell you that, what you shouldn't do is walk around the house, but climbing mountains appears to be within your scope of practice.
So as I was beginning my walking back and thinking about things, I may try and do maybe a half marathon. I may start adding in some jogging, which I've done, and I may try a half marathon this year.
There you go. Cool. Well, we have a 10-miler here over in Chapel Hill. If you ever get inspired to come over our way, you can go for a 10-mile. So it sort of builds you toward the 13.1, and you can even come when we do our little shorter 4-milers, kind of thing, in through the woods. Because we have woods. We don't have mountains. We have woods.
Yep.
It's a little bit hilly, but we don't have rattlesnakes so much either. We just have copperheads.
Well, we got all of them. We got copperheads, we got rattlesnakes, we got water rocks.
Yeah, you're not my favorite. You're not my favorite place to come for that reason. I like to know where I'll put my feet down and go meet something I don't want, including gopher holes. You guys also have gopher holes all over the place.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you try to trip up us out of staters
And moles, which are
and
different.
moles. Mhm. Oh yeah. Wow. So, well, that is quite an accomplishment, I've got to say. So, when we first came on together, you were talking about, this wasn't one of your better days because you got a little brain fog going on. But when you say that, I've got to tell you that it didn't feel like a whole lot was foggy about this particular story and trip and sharing. So it's other stuff that gets in your way sometimes, but that doesn't mean you don't have moments of absolute clarity.
That's true. I have quite a few of those, and I'm pretty good at show timing as well. I mean, even when I have foggy and cloudy days, I can say, okay, I can gut it up and do it, and I will be done for the rest of the day. I'll go home and I'll be ready to take a nap and that. But yeah, so far I'm able to. I've only had to cancel one speaking engagement when I just simply couldn't function one day. So, but other times when I was pretty foggy to still do it.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so you've got all this going on. Rachel, have you got any final questions for Dawn? Because I mean, I'm like, wow, man, I don't know if many people even think about doing that after they got Lewy body. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm just like, I know a lot of people with Lewy body. I know a lot of people who hike. I know a lot of people who run. I know a lot of people who fall. I know a lot of people who are risk takers. But boy, oh boy, I don't believe. Yeah, you need to wear that Texas proud because you got that Texas thing going on for sure.
You know what they say about Texas? Everything is bigger and better in Texas. So he's living up to the spirit of Texas.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
with
have.
the
We're kind of known for having pretty tough spirits, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I went up to Round Rock and thought I was doing pretty good getting up on top of Round Rock because the wind was blowing like crazy, and I was like, "Look at me, I'm standing up here. Wow, okay, crouch down."
Well, Guadalupe Peak is they will shut the trail down on really windy days. It gets so windy that you get blown off the top of it. It'd be 50 or 60 mile an hour winds at the top and blown off the top of that mountain up there.
And I was feeling that way about Round Rock. It was like, wow, this is breezy. It's like, whoa, this is windy. When you get up higher, you come around a corner, all of a sudden it's like, now I know why these trees look this way. Or bushes. They didn't have trees, they had bushes.
It's an interesting hike. At one point, you turn around on the corner of the mountain, and you're going a different direction, and it's really a sort of a forest area. You walk through. It's about 10 degrees cooler in it, and
wow.
And it rains there quite a bit, so you're told to have a rain gear. And so I did, and it didn't rain. We had just an absolute perfect day, and it wasn't too windy, and we didn't get rained on, and
everybody survived.
It arrives.
There you go.
And look at the support. Look at the support that came together. Your wife rallied around, your sons rallied around, your friends rallied around, and look at what was possible. And I know that it took them for you to be able to do this. Took a lot of work on your part, took a lot of work on their part, but together as a team, you guys did it. And I'm so proud of you. Congratulations.
Wow. Wow, what an achievement. So when we talk about living well with dementia, take a look at Dawn. Yeah, there are challenges, no doubt about it. There are things you can't do anymore, but whoa, sometimes you don't know what you can do till you're willing to take the challenge and try. Dawn, thank you for sharing, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll try to do something else.
Oh, we'll want to hear about it when you do. Because I got a feeling it'll be something interesting. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teepa Snow, and you just found our YouTube channel and watched one of our videos. I'm the owner and founder of Positive Approach to Care. Thanks for watching. And if you liked, if you have a comment about, or you would, please share it with people you know. Oh, and if you haven't yet done it, consider subscribing. We'll let you know when the next new video comes out. And you might want to visit our website, www.teepasnow.com, where you'll find other resources as well. See you there.